evening, everybody. You are watching America First. My name is Nicholas J. Our featured story is about the vaccine mandate deadline, which will come into effect on December 8th for a lot of major companies like FedEx, UPS, and Amazon. And there was a big article in Politico today about how that is going to cause an absolute catastrophe for the supply chains. And this is something I talked about on the show maybe a month or so ago, which is that we are entering, in the coming months, absolutely the perfect storm of trade and other economic problems, which is to say that we already have major supply chain disruptions because of the pandemic and variety of factors. It's very complicated, but as you know, we're already facing shortages, inflation, increased prices, and these are all the result of supply chain disruptions. We're coming up on the holiday season, which begins on Black Friday, I believe, busiest commercial season of the year, and we have the vaccine mandate deadline going into effect for many companies in November and December, which may force thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands, or maybe even millions of workers out of the workforce. That's why there's a labor shortage already going on. So everything is coming together exactly in the right way, where it is going to give workers a lot of leverage very soon. The deadline is December 8th for those major logistics and shipping companies, and the employees that don't get vaccinated and who are not able to get an exemption will have to be put on unpaid leave. That is going to put these companies in a very precarious situation as they go through the busiest season of the year, already with major supply chain failures. So we'll talk about that. Very exciting stuff. I think we talked about this when there was something very similar recently. I forget when exactly, but this is good stuff. So we'll talk about that tonight. That'll be our featured story. Tonight we'll be revisiting a story which I was supposed to cover a couple of nights ago. I was supposed to talk about the crime in Chicago and in San Francisco and nationwide, major crime spree going on. I wasn't able to get to that. I think that was on Wednesday, so we'll be covering that tonight. Big story in the local news about how Chicago police has put out a warning to residents and businesses in the Magnificent Mile in Chicago because of a major crime spree. Armed robberies, burglaries, carjackings, all that good stuff is rampant right now, and it's because of the city government's inability to arrest criminals and charge them and prosecute them. So we'll talk about that too. Like I said, I was supposed to talk about that like 2 days ago, but I ran out of time because I went on a huge rant and I talked for too long about the other story. So that'll be our show tonight. It's going to be a casual Friday episode. You could see I'm wearing kind of a casual outfit, no tie, no collar, no buttons, just a crew neck sweater for the night, crew neck sweatshirt, and the jacket. And I feel pretty low-key. I feel very relaxed. I do feel very casual. It's going to be a very casual vibe tonight. So I hope you're ready for that. There's a lot of other cool things going on in the news. For example, we're not going to be able to talk about this because there's not much to say, but have you seen this story about Alec Baldwin, who shot that woman and she died on the set of a movie yesterday? It's funny because I was doing my show yesterday and I got a push notification from Fox News or something, and it said Alec Baldwin shoots and kills, or what did it say? It said something like, woman dies after Alec Baldwin accidentally discharges a firearm on the set of his new movie. So I actually saw that last night while I was doing the show. I got a push notification. I was like, what? And then I was looking at the details last night, and honestly, this has to be one of the, maybe people aren't going to like that I'm going to say this, but this has got to be one of the funniest stories of the year. I have to tell you. Now, some might say that's That's not nice, or it's cruel, or it's sociopathic, or it's amoral. I don't know why, but it's so funny to me. In the first place, because it couldn't have happened to a better person. Alec Baldwin is the worst. Great actor, who I like him in almost every movie he's in, but he is just probably one of the biggest liberal douchebags in Hollywood. And you remember he used to play Donald Trump on Saturday Night Live. It wasn't even a good impression. And so for this to happen to him in particular is awesome. And the whole idea is just very funny to me. The idea that Alec Baldwin is on the set of a movie and accidentally shot and killed somebody. I don't know what it is about that story. It just makes me laugh. And I was telling my mom about it, and she got mad at me. She's like, that's not funny. You know, I get a lot of what you say, but I don't get what you're saying about that. I'm like, Mom, it's just funny. Imagine you're on the set of a movie, you're waving around a prop gun, you shoot it, and it hits somebody, and then they die on the spot. That's not funny? I mean, it's a little bit funny. I think that's just like a little bit of a degree of separation from like somebody slipping and falling and hurting themselves, you know? Is it cruel to laugh when someone slips and falls? Yeah. But is it funny? Also, yes. And this is just that, but on a higher level. So I like the idea of Alec Baldwin as this terror on the set. He's out there killing women, shooting women to death with the gun, and he'll get away with it. That's the funniest part. The funniest thing is he'll get away with it. He goes on a rampage. You know, he's abusive towards his daughter, and then he beats up reporters in the streets. He called that guy a fag that one time. Remember that? Alec Baldwin's kind of based. And then he goes and shoots and kills a woman on the set and goes, whoops. Oh, was the gun loaded? My bad. And he'll get away with it, too. So I don't know. I'm cacking at that one. I'm enjoying that, to be sure. So anyway, that's not a big news story. It's not. There's no lesson there. There's no insight. But it is very funny. I enjoyed that immensely. I was enjoying the coverage of that immensely. I don't know about you guys. Maybe you're not as sick as I am. Maybe you're not cruel. I thought it was very funny. But anyway, so that's the Alec Baldwin thing. Before we get into the news, I just want to remind you to follow me on Gab and Telegram. The links are down below, as always. Go to the merch store. Last week, if you go to merch.nicholasjfuentes.com, you can see all our brand new merch. It's already going to be leaving the store next week. We have our brand new Halloween line, which I guess it's not brand new anymore. It's been out for a few weeks, but it's already gone. Next week, we're not selling it anymore. So this is your last week. We are selling it through November 1st, and then we're taking it off the store. So this is your last chance. We have 6 Halloween designs, brand new, limited time only. I think they're very cool, and we're not going to sell them after November 1st, so you got to get them while you can. We also have our America First hat restocked, and we have the I Will Not Comply official anti-vax t-shirt. Remember to apply if you're interested to become an America First intern. If you go to nicholasjfuentes.com/intern, we have reopened the application for people to apply and work with us on our team. We have a big team. I work with the team, and you guys will be involved in all of our America First projects, and you get to join your friends. A lot of young people, lots of friendships and friend groups have been made in the intern group. There's a lot of camaraderie that goes on. Meet like-minded people, other young people, work on cool projects, help the movement, donate your skill set. These are all the positives of joining the program. So we want you to apply if you are interested, if you have a skill that you want to contribute. Go to nicholasjfuentes.com/intern, and you can apply there. And our big announcement is that tomorrow we've got 3 new streamers joining us on this platform. 3 brand new streamers. This is our 3rd wave now of streamers that we're onboarding. And so we will announce those tomorrow. You know what? I'll announce them tonight because it's Friday. I think we announced it last Friday too. So you know what? I'll announce it tonight, and their channels will be made available tomorrow. But our brand new channels, we have got Steve Franson. You know him and you love him from Saturday Night Vibe, which was his weekly show that he used to do on D Live. And of course, he's prolific on YouTube. He's a musician, he's a writer, he's got books, albums, all around brilliant, creative, interesting guy. So he will be joining us on this platform tomorrow. He'll have his brand new platform, which is cozy.tv/Steve Franson. I think it's Steve Franson. The will come tomorrow. I don't know if it's Franson or Steve Franson, but he's coming and joining us tomorrow. He's debuting a show tomorrow, so that'll be exciting. We've got Jimbo Zoomer, one of our favorite Zoomer gamer streamers. You know him from YouTube, Trovo, D Live. He was one of the people that got caught up in the Trovo ban, like Steve Franson. So he'll be joining us tomorrow. And we have the infamous Joe the Boomer, an ancient relic in the America First universe. I think he would argue that America First exists within the Joe the Boomer universe. And honestly, I would have to agree. America First is really a spiritual spinoff of his classic show, The Daily Brap, which is never not online. It seems to always be streaming somewhere, sometime, and he is always online. So Joe the Boomer, an old favorite in both ways. Old meaning elderly in age. He's really getting up there. But also old as in he's been around for a long time here too. He'll be joining us on the platform tomorrow. He's at cozy.tv/Joe the Boomer. Jimbo is cozy.tv/Jimbo Zoomer. And then I believe it's cozy.tv/Franson. So they will all be joining us tomorrow, and they'll start streaming this weekend. That'll be our third wave of streamers. So very exciting. And we also should have some big brand new features coming on the platform for you this weekend too. So stay tuned for that as well. And then, of course, next week we'll be bringing on another 3 streamers too. So anyway, a lot of exciting stuff, lots of exciting things on the platform. Every week that people come on, it's like the party just keeps getting bigger. The more the merrier, and it just keeps getting better. And we're going to get to the point where in a month, we're going to have like 24 people on the platform. Could you imagine? We're going to get up to, I think, before the end of November, we should be at probably like 20, 25 streamers. And probably before the end of the year, we will have full functionality, full feature parity with some of the other major platforms, or at least we'll be getting closer to that. And so this project is moving forward a lot more quickly than I expected. I mean, this is technically the beta test. We were only supposed to have 3 streamers during this period for like a month or 2. And we're up to 9 as of tomorrow. We'll be up to 12, 15, 18 in the coming weeks and beyond. And already we've got some new features on the way, which I wasn't expecting this quickly. So it's moving forward fast. And that's because I think everybody's just so excited about this. I know our dev team is loving it. They're doing an amazing, incredible job. And I have to tell you, it's very funny. There are serious efforts underway to get this platform removed, but they're just not working. I mean, that is so funny to me because if you're a user on this website, you would never know. If you're a viewer, if you're just somebody that tunes into the show every night, you wouldn't know that this platform has been under attack for the past 2 weeks. But nobody knows because it's not working. Because everything that they try, their old playbook, doesn't work. We know all their tricks. We've seen it all before. We prepared for it. We had AmericaFirst.live for about 8-9 months. And we had been working on that for a year, even before that. So it's very funny. I have to tell you, we're getting emails from the usual suspects trying to, get under our skin. And we're getting some technical attacks. And people are trying to do this reporting type stuff. And I just have to tell you that because you guys probably don't even know because the platform has worked nearly seamlessly, flawlessly since we launched. But I just have to tell you, it's kind of a funny morale boost. They're trying. I mean, don't be under any illusions. They're really trying. They are not happy that this platform goes on. People angrily tweeting and they're emailing and they're writing their articles it's not working. So that's a shame. That's a shame. Aw, boo-hoo. It's not working. You can't take Cozy.tv off the internet. We're still here. So anyway, I think that's very funny. But we got a lot of good stuff coming up. And we're going to dive into our news now. We'll start with our first story here about Chicago crime. And like I said, I was supposed to cover this on Wednesday. But, Wednesday we covered, what was it? The Southwest Sick Out, which was an informal, unofficial strike against a vaccine mandate at the Southwest Airlines. So I spent the whole show talking about that. I didn't even have time to go into our other story, the featured story, which was this. And so we're supposed to cover that, and this happened this week. In the city of Chicago, the police have put out a warning specifically about the Magnificent Mile, which is a stretch of Michigan Avenue where a lot of tourism is. All the luxury stores, they used to have the Water Tower Place Mall. A lot of vacancies there now, though. And the Disney store and designer clothes, watches, shoes. That's where the river is. That's where Millennium Park is. Some of the nicest restaurants are there. I was reading it's 20% of the jobs in the city have something to do with the Magnificent Mile. It's the biggest neighborhood in Chicago. It's sort of like the heart. It's really the center of the city, of the downtown. And so specifically for this neighborhood, Chicago police put out a report, and they said that in that neighborhood, there is just out-of-control crime, specifically armed robberies, burglaries, carjackings. And if you drive down the Magnificent Mile strip, the Michigan Avenue, anytime during the weekdays at night, you will see there's cop cars at every block. Every block for the whole stretch of the Magnificent Mile on the north side of the river, they got cop cars posted up, like stationed, like the military, on every block and all up and down Wacker Drive across the whole city because of how bad the crime has gotten. And so they put out this bulletin, and they say that the reason they're putting out the warning is because all of these young people are going into stores with guns, sometimes without guns, and they're just loading up on merchandise, sometimes by themselves, sometimes with a mob. They call it a flash mob. They come in, they take a bunch of stuff, they run out, get in the car, drive to another store, and steal from there too. And the reason why this is happening is, well, there's a few reasons. In the first place, police officers are not allowed to chase criminals in the city. They changed the rules of engagement with Chicago police. I think it was either this year or last year, where now the police cannot pursue a suspect on foot or in a car unless they get permission they have to call it in, because according to the new rule, according to the city government, to pursue criminals on foot or by car endangers the suspect. So on the offhand chance that a cop is chasing some robber and he falls and hurts himself, in order to prevent that, we can't chase the criminals anymore. That's number one. Number two is the state prosecutor changed the threshold after which they will call stealing a felony. Now it's $1,000 worth of merchandise that you have to steal in order for that to be classified as a felony. Even still, there are lots of cases of that where people are stealing more than $1,000 worth of merchandise, but state prosecutors just refuse to charge any criminals. They drop the charges, let the criminals out of jail, and even the people that get arrested, even the people that get charged, they drop the charges. But fewer people are getting charged and fewer people are getting arrested. So now there's virtually no consequences for the crime. And that leads to the situation we're in now. So this is the article. It says, quote, Chicago is the latest city to be hit by rampant shoplifting, and its Magnificent Mile, the once highly populated retail destination, is now dotted with empty storefronts as businesses are being driven away by the brazen thieves. Shoplifting cases grew more common following a December 2016 motion from State's Attorney Kim Foxx that mandated Chicago prosecutors only issue felony charges for theft of property over $1,000. So you can steal up to $1,000 and it's a misdemeanor. Up to $1,000. So you could walk into, for example, Best Buy, and you could steal like 2 PlayStation 5s, you could steal 3 Nintendo Switches, you could steal... That's a lot of money worth of merchandise to call a misdemeanor. And you don't get charged with a felony, and if you don't get charged with a felony, you don't even really get chased by the cops as a consequence. They changed the threshold 4 years ago, 5 years ago. It says, her office said at the time that the move was meant to shift focus to the driving factors of the crimes instead of low-level offenses. In turn, however, thieves know they can grab armfuls of merchandise without being stopped by store security. Don't you love that? They wanted to shift their focus to the driving factors that caused the crime, which this is what you hear all day long from the left and from BLM. They say that broken windows policing is wrong. In other words, the policy of driving through bad neighborhoods where the crime is, where the violence is, and looking for the criminals, and then arresting the criminals and charging them. They say that that's the wrong approach because that's doing damage to the community. And it's sowing distrust between law enforcement and the community. And it's taking fathers and sons and pillars out of the community. And so what they really have to focus on is socioeconomic factors and systemic racism, which is making the people commit the crime. So they're not focused anymore on chasing, arresting, prosecuting, charging, and sentencing criminals. Now they're focused on something else, which is like ending racism or solving income inequality. Neither the police nor the prosecutors see their mission as stopping crime in the neighborhoods. They say that these are low-level offenses. So you have these gangs of black kids that'll drive in from the south or west side to the nice neighborhoods. They will run into a store, ransack it, and this is happening in the suburbs too now. Jump in a car, drive to another store, do the same thing. This is a low-level offense. This is a symptom, not a problem. The real job of the police and the state and the city now is to solve racism, which is the cause of why black kids go into Ulta and steal designer makeup and perfume. The real reason why black kids are running through designer stores on Michigan Avenue and stealing designer clothes and shoes is because of anti-black racism. It is because of the legacy of slavery and redlining. It says, quote, Chicago's most recent shoplifting spree involved a group of men who robbed 3 7-Eleven convenience stores downtown in a span of 30 minutes on Monday morning. 3 7-Elevens. So they went to one 7-Eleven, robbed it, got in their car, drove to another one, robbed it, got in their car, drove to another one, robbed it, got in their car, and then got away. In 30 minutes. Nobody's been caught. Nobody's been charged. Nobody's in jail. They're still out there. And by the way, this is something that happens every week now. You hear about this. It's not just isolated cases of crime, although there's plenty of that too. But you're seeing now more of these sprees where a gang of black people will go into, this is happening all over the west side right now. They'll go to a neighborhood and they will go and steal like 5 cars. They will go and carjack 5 people all in one round, all in the matter of like an hour, 2 hours, and then get away. They'll have big drive-by shootouts in the cities and get away. Shoot people on Lakeshore Drive, Wacker Drive, get away. Crime sprees happening in broad daylight, in the morning, on the weekdays, in downtown, in the nice areas, in the white areas. This happens all the time now. It says, with continued robberies in the area, Chicago police have issued a warning about suspects only described as young men in their teens robbing items on display. Young men in their teens who have black skin. That's not what they say. They say young men. I'm saying with black skin. The state's attorney's office said this year to date, its prosecutors have reviewed and issued charges for 38 retail theft cases in the zip code 60611, which includes the Mag Mile and Streeterville. A total of 18 were approved for felony charges, 10 were prosecuted, and convictions were obtained for 6. 6. So it is October. It is late October 2021. Crime has never been higher in Chicago in this century. In the 21st century, it's never been worse. You got crime sprees every week, in the daytime, on the weekdays, in the nicest neighborhoods in the city, the highest, the wealthiest zip codes, the highest taxpayers, the nicest businesses. They have gotten six people sentenced in the whole year. 38 charges. 6 people sentenced so far this year. And you wonder why it goes on. The state's attorney's office also noted that in December 2016, state's attorney Kim Foxx increased the threshold to $1,000. Prosecutors said misdemeanor charges are issued for some thefts, but those are not included in the aforementioned data. The city's approach to prosecuting retail crime is similar to in San Francisco, where prosecutors only issue felony charges for thefts of property worth over $950. Walgreens cited the shoplifting issue as the reason it closed 17 stores and is planning to close another 5 throughout the city, according to the pharmacy last week. Stores throughout Chicago's Magnificent Mile are doing the same as Macy's closed its 170,000 square foot flagship store in the Water Tower Place last spring. Japanese retailer Uniqlo closed its 60,000 square foot store in August, and the Disney store closed its 7,000 square foot location on Michigan Avenue last month. In the past few years, Gap, Forever 21, and Tommy Bahama have also closed stores on the Magnificent Mile. The vacancy rate has skyrocketed from 11% in 2019 to 19% this year, according to ABC7. So this is our lives now. You know, I was going to cover this on Wednesday, and I gave you a little preview. We all know what's going on, which is that these cities are exploding, and the timing is really interesting. We all know why they're exploding. 1 year ago, roughly 1 year ago, give and take some change, George Floyd died in Minneapolis, and the whole city was burned to the ground by black people, by black rioters, some of them activists, many of them looters and rioters, and they burned the city down nominally because of police brutality against George Floyd. And this launched another year, a whole summer, of a revanchist BLM movement, and similar riots and protests took place across the country. There were other incidents similar to George Floyd, which sparked local protests and local riots. And nominally, the goal of all of this activism, and why we saw all the looting and burning and vandalism, and why it was justified by many black intellectuals, was because of the relationship between the police and black people in America. The BLM narrative is that the police are the institutional successors to the Ku Klux Klan and people that caught runaway slaves in the antebellum South. This is what they really believe. They think that the reason we have a police in America is not like an ancient thing going back thousands of years to enforce laws. They believe that the police is a fundamentally racist institution designed to oppress black people, and that the police in America, legally, officially, formally, grew out of the KKK and the people that chased runaway slaves when they ran from the South to the North before the Civil War. That's what they believe. And they believe that as a consequence, that there are police at all, that the police arrest black people, that the police chase criminals, states prosecutors prosecute them, and that they get thrown in jail at disproportionately higher rates. They believe that all of that is intrinsically a racist action. And so, as you know, they called for the defunding of the police, the abolition of the police, and various cities and states made adjustments, and they changed the rules of engagement with their police, and they changed how they do convictions and sentencing. And throughout that, there were a lot of people, conservatives too, and a lot of people in the middle that bought into this. And they said, yes, the problem that we have in America is a racist police problem and an over-incarceration problem, too many black people being incarcerated. And there is this, by saying Black Lives Matter, this is supposed to affirm, in light of a country that does not agree that, black people cannot be killed in the streets for no reason. That was supposed to be the antithesis, apparently, of what our country is when they say Black Lives Matter. Because supposedly this is a country where they don't, is what they allege. Now, since then, what has happened in every major city in America? Since the police changed the rules of engagement, since they stopped prosecuting these so-called low-level crimes, since they increased the threshold for felonies in a variety of crimes, since the police stopped chasing criminals and stopped arresting them and locking them up, what has happened? What has happened? The police got out of the way, and so did the judicial system, and so did the white man. And all these mega corporations gave billions of dollars to BLM as an organization and to BLM affiliated nonprofits and NGOs. It's been a year and a half, year and some change. And what has happened? Has the crime rate gone down? Have black people and the police had some miraculous rapprochement? Are they coming together and reconciling? Are black communities thriving right now? Are they having an economic miracle now that the police aren't holding them down? Or what's really been going on since last May? We all know it's been an absolute free-for-all. And just look at the murder rate. Look at the violent crime rate. Look at the burglaries. Not just in Chicago, but in LA, San Francisco, New York City, DC. Look at any major city. Atlanta. In the past year. Exactly what we all said would happen. You stop enforcing the laws, you stop arresting the criminals, you stop throwing them in jail, and you get more crime. And who's committing all the crime? Well, it's the same people that were the victims of police brutality. It was the same people that are incarcerated at a disproportionately higher rate. Those are the people going out there and committing all the crimes. Case in point. In Chicago, they put out a bulletin and warn about young teens going out and doing these burglaries, but we all know who they are. When they catch them and when their names are in the paper, we know the names. And when they show the mugshot, they all have black skin. They're all black. Now, I understand that that comes across a certain way. I don't mean it to necessarily, but let's just talk about the elephant in the room. I know we talk about it on this show, but nobody else seems to be comfortable doing that. We in America do not have a mass incarceration problem. That's not real. We do not have a police brutality problem. It's not to say that there are no abusive police officers or that a police officer has never abused their power. They do. But it's not racial, and certainly that's not one of the bigger problems happening in the country. We have a black crime problem. We always have. How long have we had a black crime problem in America? I think, and don't read too much into this, but I think since around the time of the Civil Rights Movement. Now, again, don't read too much into that. I'm just making an observation here, but think about it. When were the first modern race riots? Modern race riot. Definition of a modern race riot is, black people burned down the city. I think it was in the 60s, late 60s, around the time when Martin Luther King Jr. got killed. And I would know my grandfather had to camp out in the city when they were burning all the neighborhoods to the ground in Chicago. Those were some of the first race riots in the country, was when MLK Jr. died. And then when did we see the worst crime in American history? It was during the crack cocaine epidemic during the 80s and 90s, shortly thereafter. And then, as a result of the 94 crime bill, and broken window policing and stop and frisk and Rudy Giuliani and Mayor Daley and lots of other things. Eventually, the crime was back under control. But in Chicago, what has crime been synonymous with just in the past 10 years and just in the past 2 years? We all know. That's the problem. And when are people just going to come right out and say it? And think about it this way. The black crime was a problem before George Floyd. Especially in Chicago, but also elsewhere. when you look at the highest crime neighborhoods, cities, demographics, it's always been blacks. There was like that before George Floyd. And now that the police are out of the picture, now it's worse than ever. And it's largely black people that are now amounting for the difference. They're amounting for the rise in the crime rate. We've got a population in this country, whether you like it or not, that has a problem here. It requires something like a military-style occupation to hold these communities in a state of civilization. Without hardcore police, without police on every corner, without something that resembles a counterinsurgency like they have in Afghanistan or Iraq, it's anarchy. Is it like that in any other place? Is it like that with any other group, in any other neighborhood? Because I'll tell you, I grew up in a white suburb outside of Chicago, and if all the police packed up and left tomorrow, there wouldn't be mass looting. There wouldn't be gang shootings in the streets. Maybe people drive over the speed limit. Maybe they park on the part of the street where you're not supposed to. But in other words, those people in that neighborhood don't require the barrel of a gun being pointed at them at all times, or the threat of one being pointed at them for them to not steal, not kill, not loot, not rape, not burglarize. This is just a fact of our current diverse population in America. This is one of those things where race, and I've said it before on the show, just cannot be ignored. We take a look at the story. I know you all get it. I know everyone gets it. Everyone gets it on a fundamental level. I think everyone in their heart of hearts knows, somewhere inside them, they know what's going on here. When you hear Chicago, you think crime. Why? Who do you think of? What do you think of? When you think Chicago and your brain naturally goes to crime and you think about the South Side, what the hell is the South Side? And when you think criminals, what are you thinking about? Are you thinking about Al Capone? When people tell me they're worried to come to Chicago and hang out and visit or whatever because of the crime, are they worried about Al Capone? Tell me. Are they worried about the Chicago outfit? Are they worried about the Italians? Are they worried about the Polish, of which we have one of the biggest Polish populations outside of Poland? Are they worried about what? Tell me what they're worried about. And the exception is maybe Mexican drug cartels. But that's it. That's what they're worried about. And how can anybody say in this country that the changing demography doesn't matter? How can anybody say that 100,000 Haitians pouring across our border doesn't matter when this is what the black people who have been here for 500 years are up to? Think about that. Because I hear this too a lot. People look at the changing demography of our country. The whole country is starting to look more like the west side of Chicago or the south side of Chicago and everything that comes with it. And it looks like it in terms of the composition of who lives there and the way that they are and the way that they live. And that's how you get a city like we have in Chicago today. The whole country is starting to look like that because of our immigration policies. Now, some people say it's got nothing to do with race. They look at these disparities, which we all know exist in the crime rate and income and wealth and so on, and they say, well, why is it that blacks are committing half the crime? Why is it that it's black teenagers doing all the looting on the Magnificent Mile? Why is it that you see a certain kind of person in San Francisco stealing from the Walgreens? And people want to talk about root causes, and they talk about socioeconomics, and they talk about the legacy of racism and slavery, and they talk about the lack of fathers in the homes, and they talk about the welfare state and the Great Society under Lyndon Johnson and the New Deal and all of this. And some people say that the real problem is that the people living here and the people coming here are just not assimilating. Everybody has the capacity to be like the white people. Everyone has the capacity to be like the other Americans, how America used to be for the past 230 years. But they say they've just got to assimilate. Well, think about it. The people in Chicago, where did they come from? How did they get from Africa to Chicago? Well, they came from the South, right? During the Great Migration North and the Industrial Revolution. Where did they come from when they were in the South? At some point from another continent, 300, 400, 500 years ago. It's been a 500-year journey on this continent. 300 years. And this is the state of the south side of Chicago. This is the state of Detroit. This is the state of D.C. and Baltimore and New York City and Los Angeles and Atlanta and Houston and Dallas and Austin and Kansas City and St. Louis. Everywhere, it's the same. It's been 400 years. 400 years. It's been 30 years of affirmative action, 60 years of civil rights. It's been 150 years since slavery ended, 400 years on the continent, and there's no assimilation. Not that I can see, there's no assimilation. Not culturally, not linguistically, not in terms of economics, not in terms of labor, not in terms of education or IQ, not in terms of crime. Tell me where you see it. Not the same clothes, shows, music, nothing. And the behaviors, forget even about that. But we're supposed to believe that this country is going to go from 90% white in the 1960s to 50% non-white at some point in the next 2 decades, maybe sooner, and nothing's going to change? Or that it's going to get better? Does anybody believe that? Take a look at Chicago. It's like looking into a crystal ball. Take a look at Chicago and tell me that you see a bright and prosperous future for this country and that race has got nothing to do with the changing fortunes that prevail in our neighborhoods. Can anybody say that? And think about the ripple effect here. We're not just talking about crime. Because I always used to think when I was a kid, because I grew up in a neighborhood where there wasn't a lot of crime, I used to think, well, you just don't go where the crime is. But think about what's going on here. These are our cities. The cities are the engine of the country. These are the ports. This is where the trade happens. This is where the population centers are. This is where all the amenities and services are, the skyscrapers, the art, the culture. At one point, that you could say that about our American and European civilization, that the cities were the crown jewel. Isn't that what America was supposed to be? A shining city on a hill? And look at what our cities are like now. Homeless people everywhere, literally excrement on the streets, tent cities all over the place, even in the nicest neighborhoods. And now, as a consequence, vacancies. Businesses are packing up and leaving, and they're not returning. You know, all up and down it's supposed to be magnificent. It's built on the waterfront. Billions of dollars of investment went into that. Building those planters that are down there and building up the riverfront and the bridges and the skyscrapers and the Tribune Tower and the Wrigley Building and all of it. Also that black teenagers can steal so much from the stores and make it such a living hell and a nightmare that stores can't even do business. And now people can't go and shop and they can't eat and they can't see the sights and so on. And there goes all the jobs and there goes all the tax revenue. And there goes all the leisure and the recreation and the amenities and everything. And there go the cities. And so what's the quality of life then for the rest of us? Even if you don't live in a neighborhood where there's crime, what's the quality of life for the rest of us? Do we have to live like this? Do we have to constantly live in terror and in fear? We have to drive around in neighborhoods and look over our shoulder and wonder if someone's going to steal our car or mug us or kill us. We're going to get hit with a stray bullet or something. And even if you're not victimized by the crime itself, do we really have to live like that and walk down the Magnificent Mile and see plywood boards over the Gucci store? And see a vacant Disney store just emptied out? And we have to see cop cars posted at every intersection all along the way? Is that supposed to be the fate of every American city? Do we want to live like this? And why? Why are we living like this? We're a rich country. We're a powerful country. We don't have to live like this. If we decided tomorrow that we wanted to have no more of this, it could be over. You might not like what it would take to get there, but there's no question we could do it. If we decided tomorrow as a society, and if the government reflected that, if we decided we wanted this reign of terror to end and we wanted our cities back, it would end tomorrow. You could see that. When all those people stormed the Capitol on January 6th, what did they do? They used geolocation on every person's phone who was inside the Capitol to track them down. They subpoenaed or went with a search warrant, I should say, to Google and Facebook and Snapchat and every other company to find everybody that entered a search query about the Capitol, found direct messages, private group chats, to find everybody that talked about it, everybody that posted about it. They put out a national bulletin to bring to justice every single person, posted their pictures in mass, security footage. People's own relatives turned the Capitol marchers in to the FBI. It's the largest investigation in the history of the country. 700, 800 people charged so far. And what else did they do? They shut down the whole city. They shut down all the bridges into the city. They locked people inside their hotels. They had riot police walking up and down the streets. They deployed the National Guard. They built a fence in a day surrounding the Capitol, and they had thousands of National Guard inside the Capitol sleeping on the floors. That is when they are serious. That is when they want the so-called reign of terror, which never was, to end. We can do it, clearly. We can do it when we want to. If we wanted this to stop tomorrow, we could make it happen. But that's just it. Nobody really wants it to end. If it means being racist. If it means being perceived as racist. Guess what? If you wanted this crime spree to end tomorrow, you know what you'd have to do? Arrest a lot of black people. That simple. Nobody that's innocent, but you would have to get the police out there. You'd have to get them, maybe the National Guard, the military, and you would have to post them up, and a lot of these criminals would be killed probably, locked up for a long time, sent behind bars for life. And people would probably say that it's an unfair sentence. And you would probably have to deploy the military indefinitely to the nice neighborhoods, to the not nice neighborhoods. And of course, who would be profiled in all of this? We know. But the problem would be over. I mean, if that happened, the problem would end. It's that simple. But that's just it. Nobody really wants it that badly. If it means profiling blacks, if it means acknowledging the racial disparity, if it means acknowledging that blacks are committing a disproportionate amount of the crime, they don't want to solve it. People would rather have our cities be destroyed. They would rather see the economic engine of the states and the country destroyed, the culture, like I said, all the things that we love about the cities or used to love. They're perfectly willing, maybe reluctantly, but nevertheless, they are willing to see all of that destroyed and our quality of life destroyed, and they want us to live in a third world country because they don't want to be made uncomfortable by believing or saying or voting for something that is perceived of as racist. That's our country. That's what a joke of a country that we have. We would rather see Macy's 175,000 square foot store leave the water tower place and see the planters destroyed and see plywood on every store and a 20% vacancy rate. And people would rather have 5 carjackings every day and gang shootouts in the middle of the city than be perceived as racist. Nice country. That's a great value system, right? Nice value judgment that we're making as white people. And that's a very responsible decision we're making, by the way, not just for ourselves, but for our children. That's a really responsible decision that we as white people are making for our white children and for our white grandchildren and our white progeny who will have to inherit this country. That's the way it is now. We're making it worse every day with immigration, with these caravans of Haitians coming across the border. They eat mud in their home country, but we're supposed to expect they'll behave differently than the people in Chicago. And they're coming from Guatemala and Honduras and wherever else. And we can't say no. We can't shut it down. White people aren't even willing to talk about it because of it will make them feel uncomfortable to talk too much about race. And that's the wages of value judgment like that. This is our penalty then. Okay, you don't want to live in a racist country? You don't want to be racist? Well, enjoy the carjackings. Enjoy the burglaries. Enjoy all these problems, right? Walgreens packing up and leaving. It's sick. When are people going to realize that? When are stupid white people going to wake up and realize that? It's so sad. It really is. Because this used to be a great country. Watch a movie. Go back and watch a movie. Watch a movie real or fictional. Watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That's a movie about Chicago. Or go and watch some, even nonfiction, go and watch what the cities used to be like 100 years ago. The Columbian Exposition in Chicago, the World's Fair in Chicago. Go look at some pictures of that. And we gave all that up. And for what? It wasn't our decision, and a lot of people were tricked into bringing this about and were lied to about what was entailed, but there's no excuse now. We can see the outcome plainly. It's very obvious. There's no excuse now. Go back and look at the Columbian Exposition in Chicago and look at Chicago now based on what I just read off. We gave all of that up for this. Every day we are giving that up for this. We are choosing this because we don't want to be racist. And I'm not saying you should be racist. I'm saying, we don't want to be made uncomfortable. We don't want to be perceived as racist. We don't want to get some frizzy-haired black intellectual in our face, intellectual, using that term very lightly, telling us about our white privilege and white-splaining and all of this, because we don't want that. We're choosing it every day. We gave up Los Angeles. We gave up Detroit. Detroit was the Paris of the Midwest. Now what is it? It's the ghetto of the Midwest. Now it is the Congo of the Midwest. It's the South Africa of the Midwest. It used to be Paris. And same with Chicago and New York. And every city. And where are we now? Because we don't want to be called racist. We don't want to be uncomfortable. And look at what we're giving to our kids. Everybody talks about that. We're going to give our kids a lower quality of life than what, not me, but the previous generation. They're going to hand over a country that is worse than the country they inherited. How did they do that? It was diversity. These are the wages of diversity. This is what you get. You wanted a diverse country. You wanted to be a global citizen. You wanted to be charitable. You wanted to believe in progress and equality and all of that. Well, here you go. These are our reparations. These are the reparations, apparently, that we're paying. It's sick. It's really, if you think too much about it, it's hard not to get mad. Because you really do. You look at, just watch a movie from the 80s. And it was bad in the 80s. But watch a movie from the old days. And look at how it used to be. And look at the way it is now. It's awful. And you can't blame it all on the welfare state. And you can't blame it all on technology or whatever. Democrats. At some point, we just got to be honest with ourselves. The projects in Chicago were always like this. They were always like this. 100 years ago, they were like this, but they were the projects. So that's Chicago. That's your crime wave. Look, this is what happens. We chose diversity. We didn't want to be racist, so this is what we get now. This is what we get. Well, I'm happy with it, as long as we're not racist. I'll remember when I'm being carjacked. I'll remember when I'm being inconvenienced in the 1/1,000,000th way by this and the implications of this. I'll remember that it was all for a good cause. It was all so that we could have more diversity, so that we could have better food courts and, whatever else. It's so wrong. It's so wrong, and people won't even acknowledge, even to this day. They'll say it's not about race. It's not about race. It's about culture. It's about economics. It's about class. It's about the elites. It is about race. It is about race. It always has been. Always. Race is essential. It is an essential part of who we are. It's a biological reality. And it has real and significant effects on our way of life and how we are going to get along in a multiracial society. It's just unignorable. Can't be ignored anymore. So anyway, that's that. We got to move on. We're at an hour now. I'm going to have to skip over this next story. But it's Casual Friday, so we'll blow through it. But we're going to move on because we are running out of time already. It's already been an hour. Our featured story is about our supply chains, and this is a little bit of a white pill. If that was a black pill, this is kind of a white pill. And we've talked a little bit about this. I think I said this recently, and it was obvious, but it just wasn't covered in the news yet. we've got this vaccine mandate, which is now being enforced. Deadlines are coming up for many companies. I'm sure it's happening to you or someone you know. But Biden recently submitted the rule change at OSHA to fine companies that don't enforce a vaccine mandate. And so now that's what's happening. The companies are enforcing. The deadlines are approaching. And I said recently that there's going to be a real opportunity for us to push back against the vaccine mandate because it couldn't have come at a worse time. You've got the holiday season coming up, which is the busiest shopping season of the year. And at the same time, you've got these horrible supply chain issues, shortages, inflation. You've got this completely out of whack shipping container situation where it costs an astronomical amount of money to get a shipping container from, China to America, but it's very cheap to go from America to China or something like that. We've got all these disruptions. We've got an existing labor shortage. So the pump has been primed. We have got already we're in a very vulnerable situation in the coming months because they're saying right now, you can't buy a Christmas tree. You might not be able to buy a Thanksgiving turkey. You might not be able to buy toys and other things because of supply chain issues and the increased demand that comes with the holiday season and the effectively, ending COVID lockdown. And in the midst of that, now the federal government is trying to force everybody to get vaccinated. What's the incentive? What's the carrot and the stick? They're going to fire everybody. They're going to fire everybody that doesn't get the vaccine. And they're going to fine all the companies that don't force their employees to get vaccinated. And it's putting together a perfect storm where it is giving us all of the leverage. Right now, the government needs the tax base to keep paying the tax dollars because Biden wants a $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill. He wants a $1 trillion infrastructure bill. They had to raise the debt ceiling recently because of all the spending they've been doing. So they need the tax base. They're talking about opening up people's checking accounts to the IRS so that the IRS can find all the tax cheats so they can squeeze out every bit of tax revenue that they're owed that they're not getting it because they desperately need the money. They already doubled the money supply last year, so they're running out of options with monetary stimulus, fiscal stimulus. They need the tax base. They need the economy to perform. The economy needs the workers because there's a labor shortage. There's already this huge problem of workers that maybe it's because they're on unemployment or they got their COVID cash payments. They're able to be picky. There's lots of reasons for it, but there's already a labor shortage. Restaurants, businesses, logistics companies. There's a 60,000 person shortfall in truckers right now. 60,000 fewer truckers than are needed. So the government and the administration need the economy. The economy needs the workers. But the government wants the workers to get the vaccine. Well, guess what? We are now in a position where we can say no. No, I'm good. I'm chilling. I got my COVID cash payment. I got my unemployment insurance. I'm good for at least another few months. Supply chains are coming crashing down. You want to fire me? Because I don't get the COVID vaccine? Good luck. Find somebody else. This is putting us in a very, very good situation, very favorable situation. This is one of the big white pills on the vaccine mandate. So this is a story. By the way, this is from Politico, so I'm not making this up. I mean, all of this is pretty self-evident, but this is from Politico. It says, a trade group for air cargo giants like UPS and FedEx is sounding the alarm over an impending December 8th vaccine deadline imposed by President Joe Biden, complaining that it threatens to wreak havoc at the busiest time of the year and add yet another kink to the supply chain. The letter sent to the Office of Management and Budget asks the administration to postpone the deadline until the first half of 2022. At issue is the requirement by the administration that federal workers be fully vaccinated by December 8th. Unlike private businesses, companies that act as federal contractors cannot opt out by instead submitting their workforces to frequent COVID testing. So they have to have their employees vaccinated as contractors. The deadline has been hailed by public health officials as a way of increasing vaccination rates as the country continues to struggle with the COVID-19 pandemic. But business groups and conservatives have warned that it would have damaging economic impacts. The deadline brushes right up against the peak holiday season, and as some of the biggest cargo distribution companies, including UPS and FedEx, are already battling unprecedented labor shortages. Some of the members of the Cargo Association include FedEx, UPS, DHL, Express, Atlas Air, which run cargo flights for Amazon. Alterman noted that many of these cargo carriers are helping move vital medical supplies, including vaccines, to combat the ongoing pandemic. For weeks, industry officials have held talks with the administration over the deadline and vaccine requirements, including communicating the various attempts to hold the vaccine drives for workers and better educate them on the benefits of the vaccine. But they relayed they face significant difficulties meeting the tight deadline, according to two sources familiar with the discussions. One of the sources noted that the convergence of the holiday season, the quick turnaround on the deadline, and a worker shortage amid some vaccine resistance created a perfect storm for contractors involved in the delivery business. They believe it is nearly impossible to meet the federal requirement and relayed that their legal departments are still assessing how to implement the order. So this is really good news for us. Because like I said, in any other time, maybe this would be a tough situation or a tougher situation. But the way things are now, we hold all the cards here. The workers have all the leverage. If they start to fire specifically these workers, UPS, FedEx, DHL, Amazon, if they start to fire these workers in particular, it is going to collapse the economy. Now, I don't know if it's going to be like Great Depression level, anything crazy like that, but it's going to cause a lot of problems. If they start telling people in large numbers, go home because you're not vaccinated, it is going to hurt these companies. It is going to hurt the economy a lot more than it's going to hurt the workers that are laid off. They can't afford to do it. And so if there was ever a time to resist the vaccine mandate, I probably would not believe it was possible in any other time. But it is possible here. At least in the interim, it's possible maybe to buy time. Because the way things are, they're just not in a position to fire as many workers as they would need to. December 8th deadline? Fuck you. What are you going to do? If tens of millions of workers don't get vaccinated by December 8th, what are they going to do? Fire them all? Before Christmas? During a labor shortage? During a global supply chain disruption, while the Biden administration is trying to pass $4.5 trillion worth of spending, while we have 10-year high inflation. I'm still going 5%, 10-year high inflation after they already doubled the money supply last year. On God, you think that's a good idea? Fire thousands or millions of workers? Okay. Well, be our guest. It's just like the police officers in the city of Chicago. They're going to tell the police officers, you better get vaccinated or else you're going to be put on unpaid leave. Oh, really? The most violent city in America, where they have a 20% vacancy rate in the luxury district in the city because of crime, they're threatening their police officers? Yeah, okay, good luck. And then the same goes now for this. We're going to threaten the logistics people, the shipping people, the people that work at the ports, the truckers, UPS, Amazon, all of that. During the holiday season with everything else going on, okay. If you think that's a good idea, hey, be our guest. That's going to suck for us, I'm sure. So I think that we have got to use this to our advantage. We have got to mobilize, specifically these people. UPS, Amazon, DHL, to the extent that it is possible, that'd be how you would do it. Holiday season's coming up. Time to cripple the economy. And it's not us doing it, it's them. We want to be able to work. We just don't want the vaccine. They are forcing the ultimatum. They put this onus on us. They have imposed this on us. It's them. It's the government that is saying, if you don't get vaccinated and you do what we say, then you can't work. You can't be in the economy. Okay, well, if you say so, if it's a choice and you're not putting a gun to our head and it's not a mandate and so on, then fine, so be it. Let's all just leave. So I think people should just start getting fired. I really believe that. I wouldn't say that probably if it were another time of the year, if it wasn't like this, but I think uniquely this is a time when a protest like this could work. Because it wouldn't take much, like we saw with Southwest. How many employees was that? Like 1,000? 1,000 is not a lot. 1,000 unionized air traffic controllers and pilots at Southwest, in the grand scheme of things, that's not a lot. But they caused 2,500 flight cancellations at Southwest. Do you know what a big deal that is? What a disproportionate impact was caused by 1,000 of that kind of worker striking for a weekend? How costly that was for Southwest, the disruptions that caused, I'm sure. And so what happens if you had like 10,000 people working at Amazon, UPS, FedEx, strike during Christmas in opposition to the vaccine? It's just like what would happen if the police in Chicago called out on strike and so on. So these workers that are in important positions have got to be mobilized. They got to organize. They got to mobilize against the mandate. I think that's the only way that we're going to buy time or maybe call off the whole thing. It's the only way. It's the only thing they'll listen to. Because I'm not just saying indiscriminately like, hey, go out and protest. I'm saying workers need to get fired. Specific kinds of workers need to get fired. Parts of the economy need to be shut down as a consequence. And the government needs to learn that this is a reciprocal relationship. You know, you don't own us. Not yet anyway, right? We're not owned. You can't really just tell us whatever to do because you're still dependent on us and specific kinds of workers. Maybe not content creators like me, but police officers, firefighters, Teamsters, air traffic controllers, truck drivers. Yes, the society is completely dependent on those people. You can't just burn those people if they don't answer your ultimatum. The government needs to learn that. So I think that's the approach going forward, is trying to animate these people in this particular time between Black Friday and Christmas. We've got to get these workers to send a message and say no vaccine mandate. They have the power. This is a situation where we have a little bit more leverage over the system than we normally do. So that is the supply chain catastrophe. That's the abbreviated version because we ran out of time realistically like 20 minutes ago, but that's that. We're going to move on. We're going to look at our super chats and see what you guys have to say. Let me get my water bottle out here. And let me pull up our super chats. And now it's your turn to make your voice heard and all that. So let's see what we got. What are people saying in live chat? People are saying fire. Let's go. Why are people saying fire? Is it because someone says press fire for fire? Anyway. All right, let's take a look. Let's see. We've got MacMan says, sure, San Pellegrino is dope, and bottled water hits the spot. But nothing beats the cool, crisp, and refreshing taste of the most racist sparkling water in the game. And that is hashtag Real Talk. You are Meme Magic King 07. Yeah, did you see that? Bubbly. The company replied to my video, which I didn't post. Somebody else posted it. But some America First Clips Twitter account posted this clip from my show where I said, you can't kick all these immigrants out. You can't build a border wall. You can't racially segregate the neighborhood without drinking a bubbly. And somebody edited to look like a bubbly commercial. And they replied. They said hashtag Real Talk. They replied to that tweet and said hashtag Real Talk. And what's funny about that is I don't even think anyone tagged them. No one in the replies tagged them. I think one person tagged them in the quote tweet. So maybe that was it. But what are the odds that they just saw the quote tweet, clicked on it, replied, hey, real talk. It's like a 30-second video. It's not like it's really obscure. It's not like I was dog whistling. I literally say, hey, you can't kick all these immigrants out. You can't racially segregate your neighborhood without Bubbly. And they reply, real talk. So I guess Bubbly's a little bit more based than we know. Maybe they got a social media team with some groypers working there. They're saying, hey, real talk. What's up? Let's see. Jews stay killing Christ says, on God, King, you're the king because you sit back and drink water while I destroy my existence with weed and beer and get schizo. Let's see how schizo I can really get. Pouring the booze in the drain and ignoring the weed. Watch me start running 2 miles in 11 on top of a 365-pound bench. Jews Stay Killing Christ says, I'm taking the kids and winning the war. I'm going to law school or finish my paid-for doctorate in Wyoming. I will find a beautiful girl to spend the rest of my life trying to impregnate. On God, I will treat her so much better than this last one. That's great. Thank you for that. Sigma says, our message is simple. America first will always stand by Israel, no matter how many synagogues Alec Baldwin attacks. The Groyper movement will not stand for such harmful attacks against our democracy. Absolutely agree. We condemn Alec Baldwin. We disavow anti-Semitism of that magnitude. Big Globe says that subscribe push notification thing is such an underrated feature on here. Now I don't have to waste phone battery on lobby music. Cozy is epic. Thanks. Yeah, click the follow button if you haven't already to get notified whenever this show goes live. That's what it does. It gives you a push notification on Telegram when I start the show. Daisy says, Nick, did you see the first pig kidney transplanted to a human? They're calling it a scientific breakthrough. Am I wrong for throwing up? Doesn't sit well with me. No, I didn't see that, but yeah, that is gross. Maybe I'd feel differently if I needed a kidney, but yeah, it seems wrong. Daisy says 332 replies, fully vaccinated make up 84% of COVID deaths in Scotland. Hey, guess what? That means it's working. Yeah. Daisy says King James is the only valid version of the Bible, right? Wrong. No, it's not. That's a Protestant version of the Bible. That's not what I use. That's not what you should be using. So I don't know where you're getting that. If you're not Catholic, and if you're not Catholic, you're not a Christian. So, I mean, not really. So, yeah, no, I'm Catholic. In case you didn't know, I don't believe in the King James Bible. I don't believe in the Protestant Reformation or anything like that. So, no, I don't read that version. Daisy says, my husband took the kids on a cruise. I can't go because I don't have the vaccine. I'm also about to get fired from my job. I can't go to any events in Vegas. I don't care. I will never comply. Well, good for you. Nice work. Thanks for standing strong. A lot of people can't do that. God of Conquest says, congratulations on becoming the newest bubbly spokesman. It's, already it hurts before it even starts. Bubbly today, LaCroix tomorrow, and after that, San Pellegrino. Soon Groypers will have a monopoly on all carbonated beverages. That's really good. That's really funny. Pragmatic Culture says, me and my friends can't wait for AFPAC 3. Looking forward to the details and seeing all of the AF bros there. Christ is king. America first is inevitable. That is so true. Yeah, I can't wait. I'm really excited. Fred Groypson says, Nick, did you go all in with Stu Peters? Yes, I did. Yes, I went on his show. I like Stu Peters. I don't know a ton about him, but I saw him rip apart Vernon Jones. I thought that was epic. And he seems like a great guy. Masato says, if a crab and a half weigh 1.5 pounds, but the crab weighs half as much, again, as the whole crab, what does half the whole crab and the whole of the half crab weigh? The half crab weighs half as much as the whole crab, and the crab and a half weighs 1.5 pounds. How much do each of them weigh? So it would be just divided by 3. If they weigh 1.5 pounds, right? If the full crab is twice as big, right? Then that means the full crab is 2 times the half crab. So it's 3x equals, right, 1.5. So be half a pound for the half crab and 1 pound for the full crab, right? Or is that a trick question? What is half the whole crab and the whole of the half crab weigh? Half of the whole crab would weigh 1/2 pound, and whole of the half crab also 1/2 pound, right? Crab and a half weigh a pound. Is there a trick somewhere in there, or am I missing something, or did I get it right? Yeah, nice try, but I'm pretty sure that's right. Unless it's a trick question. Unless that's some kind of a riddle. Chadwick says, U.S. News be like forced government injection now, forced compliance, or starve. British News be like, Chancellor Stippy debating whether crickets could be allowed their chennies on the Bumble bus. Now that's funny. Yeah, that's true. British people are retarded. No, they're funny. I like British people. I love British people. We have a lot of British people that watch the show, but the way they talk is so, silly. Can they just admit that? They live in Candyland, the way that they talk. America's kind of epic like that because we're police state. They always make fun of us, but American politics is pretty severe. I remember when Trump was like, I would put you in jail if I were president. And Hillary Clinton was like, you're a rapist. And Bill Clinton was like, your husband is. And then she was like, well, it's a good thing you're not in charge of the law. And he's like, yeah, because I'd throw you in jail, bitch. That's American politics. And then British politics is like, hello, it's question time. Time for the questions. Mr. Prime Minister, blimey. Those people are ridiculous, very silly, and unserious people. Just when you think America is ridiculous, then you look at British countries. Then you look at England. So yeah, pretty funny. But Britain's pretty they're pretty paused up. They're very liberal. They're probably more paused in some respects than we are. It's kind of even now, but I don't live there, but they've got hate speech laws, and their police are fully gay. They have a fully gay police force. It used to be no gays in the police. Now it's no straight people in the police. It's a prerequisite to be gay in the British police. And they had a female prime minister. That's pretty. No one talks about that. Everybody talks about they have a gay crosswalk, and the police have a gay hat. And but nobody talks about the fact that a female prime minister recently, which that's pretty paused. I know she was a conservative, but still. How stupid is that? They have something called question time. How retarded could you be? It's what if we had an hour every week where the parliament gets to ask questions of the prime minister? What should we call it? Duh! Question time! Let's call it question time because we ask questions during this time. How stupid. Am I the only one who feels that way? Because I remember learning about that in government class and thinking what's wrong with those people? Why would they call it that? Question time. Time for questions. Question time. What's your favorite color? That's like the super chats on this show. Question time. Okay, my question is, hi, I'm Poopy Rapist. My question is, who's your favorite Sopranos character? Not like Tony the best. That's you guys. You guys are doing question time on the show right now. So, yeah, thanks for that. That was funny. Where was I here? Oscar says, hey, Nick, would you rather concede that Ben Shapiro is smarter than you and tell all your followers to go watch him instead of you, or be forced to eat a cupcake with too much icing? What is he? Why? Why even? Why? Why would you write this? Is this supposed to be funny? Is this supposed to be a callback? What is the point? What do you want me to do with this? Do you want me to play along and say like, oh, I hate frosting. I would much rather do something crazy than eat too much frosting. I'm not a cartoon character, okay? I'm not a TV character. I'm a real human being. I don't know what it is with people. Like, do people just have like room temperature IQ? Are they retarded? What is it about people that they would write something like this? I don't even know how someone would come up with this. I could never do something like that. I don't have that brain. Yeah, I don't like frosting. But what kind of question is this? Am I supposed to, is this a bit? Are we doing a bit? Have you just conscripted me in your comedy routine? Am I supposed to say, oh, I don't know, I really hate frosting, that's a tough one. And the joke is that, shut up, just shut up. Why? Why do you write stuff like this? It's so bad. So bad, dude. Super chats like that, I don't know why. Can someone tell me? Can someone psychoanalyze me and tell me why that bothers me? I don't know why it is, but it just really, to my core, it hurts me. I think it's because I hate when people are not funny. I've said this before, but when you put a super chat in, you make me read your thing that's not funny. And it's making me say something that's awful. And like, I think that's what makes me mad about it. You're putting your dumbass idea in my head and making me say it. You know what I mean? So it's like, if someone just said a bad joke, I'd be like, yeah, thanks. But when you make me say your bad joke, and it's like, no, I'm kind of in on it. I'm kind of implicated in it. There's culpability on my part. It's like, don't rope me in on your stupid joke. You have your stupid joke and keep it to yourself. Maybe that's it. But it does bother me immensely. Here we go. And now Black Knight, one of our worst super chatters, says, women don't have a sense of humor. They always laugh only because someone else laughs. I hope Alec Baldwin will rename himself to Alec Hairdo Defeat out of shame. Okay, thank you for that. I agree. Women are not funny. I think that's a big reason why I can't get along with women is because they're not funny. I don't really enjoy spending time with people that are not funny. They don't even have to be funny themselves, but if they don't have a sense of humor, and women do not have a sense of humor. Women are painfully unfunny. They are, the only way that women are funny is unintentionally. Like if they slip and fall or, when they eat shit. you know when you see these TikToks of like a girl is at a party and she just takes a nasty spill and it's especially worse. If a guy does it, it's funny because like guys getting hurt is kind of funny and they kind of take it in stride. But there's something about the loss of, because like women are supposed to be, I don't know, sexy or something, graceful. And so when a woman eats shit, it's for some reason, it's like there's a cruelty which makes it funnier. Like I saw a video recently of this girl, she jumps on a trampoline to get into a pool, but she jumps on the trampoline and just slams into the side of the pool and then just like crumples down onto the ground, onto the grass. Now, stuff like that is very funny, because they have like no semblance of, for example, like I feel like a guy has an idea of don't stand on a certain kind of a table because it's not stable and you'll fall over. Women have no semblance of that. They're the kind of people that they would stand on a 3-legged table or something and think like that would be okay. You know what I mean? Stupid stuff like that. When something is obviously structurally unsound, they just don't have that sense. They do things like that. They don't really know like how things work. And there's something very funny about that. But just in themselves, they think they're so damn funny and they're just not. And that, just like the super chatters, makes me angry. So, yeah, I agree with you. Doomer Squidward says, Joe the Boomer is the man casting the shadows in the AF cave. Yeah, he's the puppet master. Seth Abbott says, Dave Chappelle isn't funny. I agree. Yeah, I watched his special after I talked about it on the show, and it just wasn't funny. I don't know if it's because he's black or what, but he's just not funny. And everybody swears by him. They say, oh, he's the funniest thing ever. Maybe that's a generational thing. Is that a millennial thing? What was his show? I don't even know the name of it. His old sketch comedy show. Maybe that was funny. I don't know. I've never seen it, but I've seen his specials, and I never thought they were that funny. I just don't. I don't get it. I don't see the appeal. Sing as Biggle says, first, I quit Walmart over the mask mandate. I took all the money they paid me on Juneteenth and sent it to my favorite radical podcaster. Next, I will quit FedEx, take half the staff with me, and send my unemployment check to my favorite racist podcaster. We must destroy the supply chain. That's so true. That's great. That's what we want. Soup Obligation says, hey, Nick, I submitted an internship application a few days ago, but I haven't received an email yet. Just not going to finish that one. Cookie Monster says, Nick, Almond Joy or Snickers, hot dumb wife or ugly smart wife? Almond Joy. I don't like Snickers because of the peanut. I do not like peanuts in chocolate, so I would go with the almond. Hot dumb wife or ugly smart wife? You know the answer to this one. You already know where that one's going. Is that even a question? An ugly smart wife. Yeah, there's a lot of real intellects out there. Reed Cooper says, great stream, best looking King Nick, and great outfit too. When can we bring back the good old noose in government for the traitors? Whoa! All right, let's pump the brakes a little bit. That took a real turn. Anyone who forces a vaccine should hang from it. Whoa. That took a pretty abrupt turn. Hey, King, looking good. Love your outfit. What are we going to hang on? Whoa, all right. Well, I disavow all violence. Okay, I don't want to kill anyone in the government. I don't advocate for that. I disavow that. See, you got to understand, I'm under investigation by the FBI. So, I just can't joke like that. It's just not, I disavow that. We have to clearly state for the record that we oppose violence in all its forms. We're not trying to bring the noose back to the government, literally or physically. I appreciate the sentiment, the frustration. I understand that. But listen, FBI, that he said it, not me. I didn't put him up to that. All right, he said it. I'm cool. But I appreciate the compliment. Thank you, King. Happy birthday, by the way. Can we get a happy birthday in chat for Reed Cooper, our birthday king? Birthday king today. Hope it was a good one, friend. It's kind of nice. Birthday on a Friday. That's ideal. And during the school year, you get acknowledged in school. My birthday was in summer. I never had my birthday acknowledged in school. So happy birthday. Enjoy, King. Hope it was a good one. 07's buddy. HBD in chat for the birthday fed. But thanks a lot. Chet Walter says, hey, nice jacket. Who shot the couch? Shot the couch? I don't get it. Are you saying this is made out of couch material? Is that the joke? I don't understand it. Max says, Nick, happy Friday. Hope you have an amazing weekend. Great show tonight. Also, I love the fit, man. Looks fresh. Much love. Well, it's the same jacket I've been wearing all week, but just with this shirt. But thank you. Max says, happy Friday, King. Hope you have an amazing weekend. Great show tonight. I just read that. They all look the same, so thank you. I appreciate it. Humongous Blungus says, hey, Nick, guess what? Enjoyment Enjoyer says, got a #1 victory royale. Yeah, third, right? We about to get down 10 dikes in the gas right now. Just wiped out Tomato Town. My fridge just got down. D-Day hit. Got to head southbound. Now we're in the Stalingrad streets. Move the industry to the far east. So is that supposed to be like a... dikes. It wasn't supposed to be that. No, disavow. That's dumb. That's stupid. That's stupid. We don't enjoy that. Oh, I see. But it's Hitler style? Yeah, that's great. Humongous Blungus is chicken butt. Prodigal Son says, is the AF Inevitable hoodie with the white sleeves and writing on it ever coming back? Kept meaning to buy it, but never got around to it. The Science Denier tee is a great fit and quality. I don't know, dude. I don't have any plans to bring it back. Why didn't you just buy it? People procrastinate. They don't buy the merch, and then they're like, hey, you know this thing that I want? Were you like thinking about bringing it back? No, we're just coming out with new stuff all the time. Sorry, they're like collectibles, okay? If you missed it, you missed it. Such is life. Tactical Nuke says, hey, Nick, I'm sorry for the garbage chats lately. Just trying to make you laugh, but they've been stinkers. Love you, and so white-pilled by Cozy TV. Aw. Love you too, buddy. You know, it's okay. It's okay. It's not so bad. I'm just giving you a hard time. Your chats have been awful lately, but hey, you're a good guy. I'm just giving you a hard time. Chad, guys, is Alec Baldwin proving movie magic is real? Movie magic. Refill your popcorn. You're going to love this next part. Coda says, I agree with yesterday's God's Not Dead rant. Right-wing art is so shoehorned or lame by and large. I think it might be a machismo thing or maybe a low IQ Southerner thing. True art is not ideologically motivated, but an expression of the human condition. We are real human beings. Thank you for keeping it real, even if it means criticizing right. Well, thanks for the big super chat. I'm glad somebody gets it. It is true. There is something to that about machismo. Because it can't be like gay. It can't be like gay artistic. None of that fairy shit. If I'm going to make a movie, it's going to be about, I don't know, kick-ass Southerner. Or, stuff like that. It's always got to be chest beating. It's got to be whatever. But there's, for someone that's artistic, there's a sensitivity there. I hate to say it, but it's true. To really appreciate art is not this like you said, machismo kind of like mating call. It's supposed to be about the underlying human condition. So there's a vulnerability about it. There is a vulnerability. There is something about it like that maybe right-wing people just can't tap into. It's always got to be chest pounding. It's always got to be, like you said. So yeah, there's something to that. I don't know if like a God's Not Dead movie is like a Southern thing per se, but I kind of get what you're saying. I don't know if that's articulated just right, but I know what you mean. But I'm picking up on it. Humongous Blungus says, hey, Nick, have you been working out or losing weight? You've really gotten a slimmer face. I could see a clear jawline the way the shadow and lights are positioned on your face. I'm going to start soon. Thanks. No, I haven't been working out at all. I've been eating a lot less. Maybe it's that. But I don't weigh myself. I think it's just because I started shaving my beard and the new camera. I think the new camera makes me look better, and the lighting's better. And I've been shaving, so I think it's that. I don't have I have a little bit of stubble right now, but I don't have as much as I used to. So people used to say, oh, you have that beard because your face is getting fat. It's like, no, the beard makes my face look fat. When I shave it off, people go, oh, you look great. You look so much different. So, yeah, if I were to shave completely, I'd probably look a lot slimmer. But yeah, I had the beard. It made me look fat. Got rid of the beard, and everyone's like, whoa, your face looks so much slimmer. So, or maybe it's because I'm just not eating as much. That could be it. Epic Guy says, it's not just the cities, it's the small towns too. My dad always complains about how terrible his hometown looks now compared to when he was a kid. True. Zoomer Millennial says, I agree with blacks that the police are the institutional successors of the KKK and slave patrols. Blacks today enjoy a higher standard of living thanks to whites than they would in Africa, and they make us suffer for our generosity. I have no doubt it's always been that way. Okay, must be a millennial thing. Zoomer Millennial says, back then, though, whites actually protected their interests thoroughly. Okay, thank you. Half Amish has watched E.T. recently. That aspirational and optimistic America is gone. Made me emotional, had to walk away. E.T., this extraterrestrial. I never saw E.T. I never saw any of the Steven Spielberg movies. I never saw Jaws. I never saw E.T. I never saw Jurassic Park. Never got into it. I don't know. He just seems like those like cult classic, like those big blockbuster types. For whatever reason, I was just never interested in that. Too mainstream. I guess I'm kind of like a hipster in that regard. I don't want to watch the big, iconic, mainstream movies. I want to watch the esoteric movies, you know? I want to watch the out there stuff. But yeah, never saw E.T. DRK says, thank you for giving us a place to be cozy. Here's a few shekels. We'll send more soon. Thanks. Epic Guy says, Joe McScrooge. Singus Biggles says, to give you some context, the average worker at FedEx is loading 700 to 1,400 packages per day now. We load 3 to 5 packages per minute. Come December, our workload doubles. So for every worker lost that can't be replaced, that could be almost 2,000 packages per day not able to be delivered. Very awesome. South Loop Groiper says, you have to be careful about blacks in a car, on foot, and on the CTA. They have ruined downtown Chicago for everyone. Homeless people everywhere, and no one is doing shit about it. Yeah, I'm well aware, man. I'm right there. I'm not in the city, but I'm close. Prod says, you currently have almost 3 times the live viewers Vosh has while he streams on both YouTube and Twitch simultaneously, yet these people claim you are irrelevant now. Really? How many viewers does he get? I thought that he got like 10,000 per night. How many does he have? Like what, 1,000? That doesn't even sound right. I thought he was bigger than that. I'm surprised. But yeah, go figure. I'm on my own self-produced platform, right? Not YouTube has 2 billion users, right? And I'm on Cozy TV, which probably has 20,000, 30,000 users. They're all here for me, though, so I guess that makes sense. But still, it's like I'm not on a platform where I even have a network effect at all. And we still pull 3 times, 2 times the audience, whatever it is. I almost don't believe that he has 1,000 viewers. That doesn't even, or 2,000, whatever, 2,000, 3,000 viewers. That doesn't even make sense to me. As from what I've been seeing lately, I thought that he had a lot more. I thought that he was at least as big as me. I didn't think he was like a third of the size. That's pretty nuts. Based Coop says there's more whites in poverty than blacks. Redlining, no nigga, more like blacks are around 20% Homo erectus, a species that went extinct due to lack of impulse control and laziness. I don't go that far, but is that true? I've never heard that before. Robert Buchanan says, Cozy is great, AF is inevitable. Well, thank you very much. Big shout out. Big shout out to Robert Buchanan. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for the generous super chat. We love this guy. He's putting the show on his back lately. So thanks a ton. Andrew Torba says, saw your stream last night. You're 100% right. We need a platform like Twitter that works, has a simple name that's not blatantly political and won't ban you. Why didn't I think of that? You did. Yeah, it's true. Trump should have just joined Gab. If that's the real Andrew Torba, if it is, great to see you, buddy. I love you, man. Keep up the great work. You're killing it out there with your whole... Gab posted a really great graphic after the Trump Media Group presentation showing Gab Pay and Gab TV and Gab. And I think there's one other product. I forget it off the top of my head. But Trump should have just joined Gab. He should have just put his money behind Gab. Why not? It's there. It's built. And you're right. It's everything that what he's building is supposed to be, in the sense that it works, it looks good, it does what Twitter does. It's like you said, apolitical. Like I said, it's a brand that's generic, simple. But no, he had to go and do Truth Social. Hey, could you retruth that for me? Retruth my truth post. Hey, thanks, bro. Follow me on Truth. Follow my Truther account. Okay, thanks. I'm with you, man. I'm a Gabian. Ragged Old Fag says, Nick, you are our emperor and failed artist. You're fine. But these other groypers ain't incels. They are gay. Adam's woman designed for him betrayed him. Women are women. Get over it and have children. Get the fuck out of here, old man. I don't know what you're talking about with that. You're barking up the wrong tree with this kind of stuff. Get over it and have kids. Why don't you shut up, dude? And it's not that we haven't gotten over it. It's just there are a lot of people that don't get it. I'm over it. I've been over it. I've been over it my whole life. But there are a lot of people out there that don't get it. They need to know that. I mean, you could say that to me all you want. You could watch my show and say, I get it. But how many people are out there making the same mistakes that everybody's always made? The simping, the usual nonsense, throwing their lives away for women. People need to hear this. So, maybe you're 10,000 years old. You're obviously a baby boomer or something. You don't get it. But young people need to hear this message. Nobody else is saying it. So, you want to watch a show where people are feminist and simps. You want to watch a show where it's co-ed and people play the reindeer games. Watch something else. Watch another show. Every other show is like that, except for this one. This is the only show that tells it straight about men and women. So I don't appreciate that. Enjoyment enjoyers, as I'll remind everyone that the Protestants split away from the Roman Catholic Church because of corrupt medieval church practices. That abomination spawned from the Latin West, not East. The Orthodox Church has remained unchanged for 2,000 years. Oh, really? Except for when they were forced to break away from the Council of, Florence, because they were taken over by Muslims in the East. Yeah, so other than that, please, don't even get me started on that. Orthodox is a meme. The idea that you would have, that you guys think you have true apostolic succession, that you are the Catholic Church with apostolic succession, and not the Roman Church, is absurd on its face. Look. Now, I respect the Eastern Orthodox. I think that's about as good as it gets if you're not Catholic. But there's only one Catholic Church. There's only one Holy Roman Catholic Apostolic Church, and that's ours. So, I'll take it. I'm not trying to start an issue with Orthodox Christians or anything, Eastern Orthodox, but it's absurd on its face. And especially if you're in America, if you're in the West, it's such a LARP. So that's ridiculous. And of course, it would be the Protestants breaking from the Roman Church. It's an attack on the Roman Church because the Roman Church is the true church. Hello? So saying your church is under attack, yeah, because that's the church that Satan is fighting against. Hello? But it says the gates of hell don't prevail over the church, and they haven't. Whereas the various Eastern Orthodox churches, do we have to go through the history on that one? How's Constantinople doing? So that's just wrong. Daisy says EDC this weekend in Vegas, and you need the shot to do ecstasy and fuck strangers in a porta potty. Wish it would all just end. Yeah, I guess so. John Smith says, is there anything less appetizing than when a restaurant advertises handmade? I don't want to think about your third world hands constructing my dumplings. Yeah, I don't know. I can't relate to you on that one. Masato says, have you seen something you can't explain? Why are we here? There are no victims, just volunteers. What do you think when you hear that? You were wrong about the crab weight, by the way. Yeah, okay. Gooch says, I ain't nothing like you rab niggas. Okay. James Farmer says, since whites have a problem with whites, let's put it like this. What if Japan gives citizenship to 1 million Sudanese people to solve its aging population? Although I've been proven wrong before, God bless. I don't know. What does that mean? Is that supposed to be like an argument against demographic change? Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Loud AF says, awesome week. Thank you for this. Cozy TV has irrigated the content desert. I can't wait for the first Cozy merch. Have a great weekend, man. Yeah, thanks, you too. John Smith says, why not have your super chats read by a catalog of different text-to-speech voices? You could totally avoid having to read cringe and get mad. It's a great idea. Thanks. Daisy says, you're right. Women aren't supposed to be funny when they try. It seems so forced. Ladies, stick to nurturing ways. It's more attractive and authentic. Support your men and you will be blessed. So true. Luke says you should bring our favorite Nord gunner on the show. That'd be a very fulfilling conversation. I think, like I said, we've really exhausted his cognitive faculties. I don't think there's really a whole lot left there. King of the Shill says, for the sake of argument, let's say that MAGA is the gold standard for campaign slogans. What then would be a good campaign slogan for appealing civil rights for non-white men? We're not arguing for that. So Kai Clips says, hey, Nick, I think my tweets have been getting better. I wish you were there to see it. I hope you're smiling up there with Tom AF's 7 alts. This is what good mentorship does. I hope so. I haven't seen them lately, but yeah, maybe I'll take a look. Kai says, Nibba's be like, E.T. made me cry. Have you ever heard about Glitterbeard? Anyway, hope to see you on the seas soon, pirate. Yeah, we gotta get on Sea of Thieves soon. Interdimensional Harmonies is apologizing for bad super chats. Wow, Nick is just like famous environmentalist El Presidor. Got the puppets dancing on his strings. Yep. Hans says, hey, Nick, about to drink myself into a stupor. Pray for me. Todd says, have a great weekend. Hey, thanks a lot, man. 07s. Thanks for the big super chat. You too, buddy. Paisano Groiper. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Oh, the real Paisano, the real Spockon is back. Says, hey, Nick, great show. Happy to spend a Friday night hanging with the fellow Groipers and yourself. Sick of these minorities running rampant around the country. Nobody calls it how it is like you do. Hope you have a great weekend. God bless. Christ is King. So true. God bless, buddy. Thanks. You too. Have a great weekend. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Another Ohio Zoomer says, now on to the comparison between politics and Star Wars. Maxwell says, full thoughts on John Doyle. I think he's cool. I like John Doyle. Ragged Old Fag says, Nick, I said you're fine, you bastard. LOL. Hey, well, don't insult my niggas. You don't insult my niggas. Don't insult my fellow incels. How dare you? Well, I shouldn't even say that because I'm the only incel there is. So, you can call them, I guess, whatever you want. I just feel protective of them, but you're right. I'm the only real incel. The rest of them are thirsty crypto simps. So it's just me. It's just me alone, involuntarily celibate, raging all the time. So I appreciate you. Big Butt Cheeks, let's go, says, hey, King, I have an idea for a secret Groiper handshake. First, we stand on one foot, balance a glass of chocolate milk on our head, and sing the Bikini Bottom national anthem. It's a good idea. Italian Beef says, hi, Nick, when you get Italian beef from Portillo's, do you get sweet peppers or hot peppers? Neither. I don't get peppers. I just get a plain. So sometimes I get sweet, but very rarely. Mostly I just get it plain. I like it plain. Portillo's is probably one of my favorite beef sandwiches. Even though it's a chain, I know it's a chain, I know it's basic, but it's one of the best in Chicago. It really just is one of the best. I've had all the best ones. I've been to all the best places. And honestly, Portillo's and Al's are some of the best beefs in the city. People, I said this before, but people go on and on about Johnny's in Elmwood Park. I don't know how that is ranked number 1 on some of these best of lists. I've had it my whole life. And it's okay. It's mid. They have good Italian ice. That's good there. And the beef is all right, but it's not better than Portillo's. I'd rather have Portillo's. Just saying. And I've had places better than that even, but yeah, it's one of the best. One of the best. Chocolate cake shake, Portillo's, beef. I mean, you can't beat this. You just can't beat it. Dragon Groiper says the Catholic cries out in pain every time the Pope speaks out global homo shit. I certainly don't. I don't care. Ortho Bros, meanwhile, quietly racking up W's in Russia and Eastern Europe. Yeah, well, we're racking up W's in heaven, so I'll take heaven. The idea that, once again, to say that your church is not under attack, you're not communicating what you think you are. Our church is doing just fine. Yeah, well, go figure. I think Satan doesn't really care that much, maybe. Maybe cares less, at least, about the Ortho Church than he does about the Catholic Church, because the Catholic Church is the one true church, the one and only true faith. James Farmer says, but listen, do you see how people are trying to stir things up? We don't need to fight with each other. I'm Catholic. This is a political show, not a theology show, but there's no need to go and stir things up. Catholics happen to be right in going to heaven, but for the sake of what we're trying to do politically, I think at the minimum we could get along with Orthodox, right? But they always want to start things. That's okay. We're Catholic. It's part of being God's chosen people. James Farmer says, what I was saying to clear things up is that a lot of people like Japanese culture and rarely point out the demographics. It's not wrong to point out America's demographics from the 50s. That's a good point. Ragged Old Fag says, Nick, international relations break with the advent of the Mongolian-Japan trade deal. Do you see a Japanese-Russian alliance within the next 5 years? I don't know, actually. I haven't been paying attention to that. So I don't think so, only because Japan is aligned with America. So, I mean, you can see that some of these American allies are slipping. Like the Nord Stream pipeline is the best example of that. So you could see some of these European countries are adopting Huawei 5G instead of American 5G infrastructure. Like that's a sign of this drifting away. The Nord Stream pipeline. So could Japan follow suit? Maybe, but I haven't been following it too closely, to be honest with you, with Japan. Enjoyment Enjoyer says, would you talk a big game over stream about Orthodox Christianity, but you would never debate Jay Dyer on the topic of church history and where the Roman Catholic Church went wrong? I did debate Jay Dyer. I didn't debate him on church history, but I debated him on Catholic versus Orthodox. And it's the same debate that there has been since the schism in the first place. Did Christ build his church on Peter, or did he build them on the apostles? And people say, oh, Nick, you didn't do well in that debate. Well, if you're Orthodox and you believe that that's the interpretation, then that's what you believe. But the debate's been going on for 1,000 years. It's 1,000 years. It's one thing to argue about, like, for example, is Trump good for the GOP? It's another thing to argue the 1,000-year debate about when Jesus said to his disciples, I will build... upon this rock, I'll build my church. Did he mean Peter? And then Peter goes to Rome and founds a church and their succession and so on. Then the keys and the binding and loosing of sins. Or did he mean the apostles? It's been going on for 1,000 years. And people say, well, you didn't do very well. It's like, well, the arguments are the arguments. So, and yeah, Jay Dyer, he's more knowledgeable than me. I think he's got a degree in this. He's got a degree in theology and church history. He's been studying it for 10 years. That's his area of expertise. That's his show. So he's got more tricks, up his sleeve. And I don't mean that to say that he's like dishonest. I mean, he's got more pizzazz. He's got more talking points, obviously, because he's got a broader base of knowledge. But the debate is the debate. It really comes down to Scripture. It really comes down to faith. But I mean, I don't know that you could even have a basic knowledge of the gospel and think that, or of the Bible, the New Testament in particular, and say that you're going to have your Catholic Church, your apostolic church, without Peter, without Rome. Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me. Peter is mentioned more than any other apostle in the Bible, by far. And Jesus tells him, I'm building my church on you. Jesus changed his name from Simon to Peter. And they say, no, that's not what it means. And we don't need him, and we don't need Rome. And actually, we don't need authority. It's like, it just doesn't make any sense. So it's a lot of coping. Do you notice that? Nobody goes into Orthodox chats and seeds about Orthodox. It's Orthodox that attack Catholics and seed about Catholics, which honestly says it all. So you'll see the light someday, I hope. Donatello says, what happened? But I did debate Jay Dyer, so I don't know what you're talking about. Donatello says, what happened to the Italian mob culture we saw in The Godfather? Why is there no modern-day Don Corleone supporting the #1 Italian-American streamer, Nicholas J. Fuentes? That's a good question. I don't know. None of my family were in the mob, so I don't know. Honestly, I think it was just, government crackdown. It's not the 60s anymore. So it's not a free-for-all like it once was in America. The Chicago outfit largely grew out of Prohibition, which ended, and then the outfit shifted into other illegal activities. And, over time, I think law enforcement just caught up. The federal government got more powerful. The businesses got more powerful. And there still is a mob, but it's just not what it used to be. So it's just a different time. It's outdated way of doing things, I guess. Daisy says, Nick looks stellar tonight. It's not the camera. Oh, thank you very much. Chino says, got banned from commenting on Lauren Witzke's Telegram for suggesting that she had a bad experience with COVID because she is an ex-drug addict. She was trying to blame True News for making her sick with COVID tests. Okay, well, I don't know what you want me to do about that, but it's kind of rude, I guess. Nathaniels has been praying for you, Nick. Thanks for everything you do. Thanks a lot. Luke says, is Thomas Massie based? He's definitely better than I thought. I thought he was cringe under Trump, but he's been coming around for sure. Dragon Groiper says also, how can you be an incel if you're voluntarily... Okay, I'm just not going to do that tonight. I need a vacation from you people. Modern Monarchist says, gosh, freaking almighty, these damn Orthodox thinking the East is based? It's based, but for how long? The birth rates are hemorrhaging the population, gay rights making headway, and Zionism abounds. I don't even think you need to go there. I think you just need to look at the Bible. Honestly, it's all there.